Stop Brian France.
So wait, hold on. I just hit it live. Just repeat that again, really quick.
I was gonna say if I could go back in history and stop Hitler or stop Brian France, I wouldn't hesitate to stop Brian France.
Uh, yeah, it is. I don't even know what to say at this point.
Yeah,
I,
I think
I
looking at, we talked about the attendance and the viewership of the races over the past couple of years, and we're looking at the numbers, and like that really drives the point home of like how much NASCAR is struggling. I mean, if you think it's bad now, give it 5 years, and I mean, I don't know. We'll probably be seeing the Daytona 500 on like Fox Sports One or something.
oh
It's
my
it's
God.
no longer going to have like a primetime coverage because this viewership is going down at a pretty alarming rate. It's like 10 to 20% basically every year, which is a lot considering they're only at 3.5 million viewers per race roughly. So at the current rate, I mean they're going to be under a million in about 5 years. And at one point, are these networks just going to say it's not worth it to cover these races on our primary networks? And then, of course, it's really going to die off because it'll go the way of like Speed Channel and a lot of their coverage where it's unavailable for most people.
Yep.
And that's when we'll see triple file restarts and mandatory green white checkers. It's like a last ditch effort.
And then they're gonna realize that'll backfire on them, and then it'll
Yeah,
probably
that's
die off, and then it'll
yeah.
merge with maybe some other. Isn't that what happened to kart? Like it died off, but then like a lot of the old kart drivers like went off to IndyCar.
Yeah, kind
Like
of.
maybe all the old NASCAR drivers will try to. God, either some of them might join. They might start a new league. Uh, they might join F1 just for the hell of it.
They would never make F1 though.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Maybe there might be one or two guys who are good at road courses. Hell, maybe AJ Allmendinger could make it.
No, 'cause even then, the process there's actually a process to get into F1. It's not a matter of just a team signing you. You have to get a super license, which is like some you know kind of special criteria delegated by the FIA, and you have to meet a lot of requirements before you're eligible for it.
Maybe they'll join F3.
Yeah, I could see maybe that or IndyCar. Yeah, but I don't know. I
Oh, the
mean,
mighty have fallen. Yeah.
I don't think it's a coincidence that like all these guys are retiring now. I think they've seen the writing on the wall and they don't want to be a part of it. I think that's probably why Carl Edwards bailed out.
Oh yeah, that was a big one.
Just
I wouldn't be surprised if more people pulled this kind of bailout off like in the next few years. Like
yeah,
people like literally people retiring in their prime.
yeah. So the one
I
very
wouldn't
questionable caution at Homestead cost Carl Edwards a championship. Although, admittedly, if it wasn't for this format, he would have never been, even in the running
Oh
for it.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I think a lot of drivers are waking up to just how stupid that is that your entire season can come down to a caution or mechanical failure or whatever in a way that never would have happened previously.
maybe. And again, I would hope people would flock back, but I wouldn't be surprised within like 4 or 5 years that they ditch this system. Maybe go back to the old chase system, or they might just say, "Fuck it, no chase system. We're gonna go back to a pre-2004 system."
Yeah, I mean, as
I
much as
remain up.
I would like to pretend that's sort of the panacea, I think there's also the problem of just motorsports fans in general. We've talked about this a little bit before, but it's like motorsports generally is declining, and the quality of fan is also deteriorating pretty quickly. I mean, like people do not have sort of the discipline or I don't know the perspective to appreciate like a truly good race. I mean, like if there's a green flag run for more than 15 laps or something, people are just constantly complaining that it's so boring, it gets so spread out, nobody passes anyone, And so, I mean, that's probably why he started having phantom debris cautions show up, is because people hated green flag runs. Um,
Fuck
and
this
just
generation,
same
right?
thing with the championship format. A lot of people, for whatever reason, don't understand why this is just manufactured drama with this playoff format. It's nothing else. They don't seem to think it's reasonable to have a season long points format, because then somebody could win the championship with 5 races to go or something if they run well enough. Apparently, there are a lot of fans that actually would decry that, even though it's about as fair a system as you can get.
All right, let's just kind of go. Let's just go over all the drivers who are out. I think unsurprisingly, Stenhouse is out. I mean, I was somewhat impressed with his Charlotte run. He did a lot better than I thought. He got 13th there. And, maybe if he had avoided the wreck at Talladega, I don't know if it would have. He had such an abysmal run at Kansas because he hit the wall. I'm not sure if that would have been enough, but, you know, I wasn't unimpressed up with him up until he crashed at Talladega. I think once he crashed at Talladega, that's the moment I think we all knew it was done for him.
Yeah. Oh, I kind of knew he was done. Well, I mean, I suspected he wouldn't advance like after the first round. I mean, like after the first round was over, I didn't think he would make it past this one.
Yeah.
Certainly. So
I think the one that I don't know, McMurray's out. That was he had such a good run at Charlotte, top five, and then it wasn't so much the fact that what really screwed him over wasn't the fact that he crashed at Talladega, but that he crashed early.
yeah.
Because when literally like two-thirds of the entire field crashes at Talladega, as long as you crashed late in the race, you're okay.
Hmm.
Just gas Chase Elliott for crying out loud.
Yeah. And then he wrecked at Kansas too. Although that was a lot later in the race,
Yeah,
but
I think we already knew he wasn't going to win at that point because he had to win Kansas to really move on.
yeah. I mean, even without those two crashes, he would have been borderline anyway.
Yeah. Next one is Kenseth. We already knew it was essentially over for him during the Kansas race, but we knew it was over after he was essentially involved in the wreck, but it had to somehow be finalized by the fact that he gets parked because there's seven men over the wall instead of the six.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that sat well with a lot of people. That sort of NASCAR, uh, chose by Fiat to
Like
eliminate
there
him.
there are some people who there are some drivers who intentionally wreck others, but they get to stay in the race. Like Kenseth is kicked out because God forbid he has one extra man over the wall trying to fix the car.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
it's
this is like I said, this is quintessential NASCAR.
yeah, it's dumb. I mean, he would have been eliminated anyway, I think, but at least give him an honest chance.
Yeah.
You can't win the race at the halfway point or whenever that happened, 3/4 mark. I mean,
Yeah.
at least let him run the whole race.
Well, it was actually the Talladega race was more fun with Kenseth because he was 2 laps down, but he just kept making up all these spots because everybody else was crashing.
Hmm.
So it would have been fun to have seen him advance just to know that, oh, this is how he did it.
Yeah.
And of course, last and not least, but we'll talk about Larson, which I know you're upset about.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. I think it's probably one of the more surprising eliminations since this format's been unveiled, because he was like first or second in points all season long. And I mean, he ran top three almost everywhere they went. So for him to be eliminated due to an engine failure, I don't really see any rationale behind that. I don't know how you can justify a format that allows for something like that. But I mean, my defense, I've been saying that ever since 2014. It's not like I'm suddenly saying it because it happened to my driver, but it's a perfect example of like why this format just is just I don't know, beyond the pale.
Wait until a few years from now when it's 20 drivers in the playoffs, and then it's oh fuck, how about this? What if the whole season is one big playoff? How about that?
Well, I don't. I mean, and that would actually be better because there are more races in each round anyway, and there's a more of a semblance of consistency
Yeah,
that would
maybe.
advance people. I mean, if there are, depending on how you want to set it up, but if there are 4 rounds or 3 rounds on Homestead, that puts you at like 10 or 11 races per round, depending on how you divide it up, which is, I mean, slightly less ridiculous than 3 races.
Yeah, then we'll all laugh when Jimmy Johnson wrecks at Daytona and maybe wrecks at either Atlanta or Las Vegas. Then he misses the first. He's out after the first round of the entire season.
Yeah, I don't,
That's the dream, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, so here's what I think. I think depending on how this next round goes, if something happens to Truex and he doesn't make it, I see them revising the format after this season because they basically did it last year too. Um, like after Truex got eliminated at Talladega and Keselowski did and whatnot last year, I think that's what spurred them to introduce stage points and stuff like that. And this year with like Larson out of Truex, I mean, I don't see Truex missing Homestead, but if he does, I
But I
think
saw
NASCAR is going to sort of panic because they're going to realize this format is actually terrible and there's absolutely no contingency for stuff like that. They have no way of preventing bullshit like this without just ditching the whole thing.
how do we stop bullshit with bullshit? Of course, that's pretty much the
Right.
yeah. All right, so I'll just do the I don't know. What was it? Okay, I'll just go through the rundown of all the remaining eight. Right, he starts behind the cutoff line, 11 points behind the cutoff line. Sorry, Chase Elliott, who, yet again, just he's the dominant car so far. I mean, eh, always in the top five, second at Charlotte, 16th at Talladega. But remember, he was in third place before the top three crashed towards the end at Talladega, and then he got his fourth place at Kansas. So, I mean, Martinsville is not one of his better tracks. I mean, he got third this year at Martinsville, so I think he's finally starting to improve. And I think the same kind of goes for Texas and Phoenix. But if then again, he's also performing well at tracks. He didn't do so well at beforehand. So I wouldn't really count it against him really to keep getting these top fives.
Yeah, I see him
That team is
definitely having a
dialed in.
top. Yeah, I don't know about Martinsville. I think he's going to struggle, but I can see him good for a top 10 at Texas and a top 5 at Phoenix. I think Phoenix is his best shot at winning. Out of almost every track they go to, actually, that and Michigan are probably his best
Oh, I mean,
tracks.
I mean, I'm not even sure at this point he really even needs to. I mean, it'd be better for him to win, but I mean, 11 points isn't might be something to get scared about, but only if you have one race. If you only have to gain 4 points per each race on the cutoff line, that's not that Herculean of a task.
Yeah, but that's sort of assuming nobody else does anything.
I don't know. Kevin Harvick's been kind of struggling lately. He's Jimmy Johnson's actually the cutoff point, and I mean, I gotta say it. Chase Elliott has consistently been outperforming Jimmy Johnson every single race.
Yep.
But yeah, at all six races so far in the chase, uh, he has had a better finish than Jimmy Johnson. He has to catch up 11 points on him. Let's see, he was 6 positions ahead of him at Chicagoland. Although Chase Elliott had a penalty at Chicagoland, but he was 3 positions ahead of him at New Hampshire, one at Dover, five at Charlotte, four at Talladega, though Talladega's kind of a wild card race. It's not really something
Yeah.
you mention, and four at Kansas. So the fact that even then, like I think he can continue the trend. If he is to make it on just on points without a win, he'd probably only make it by 1 or 2 points. But it's definitely within the high realm of possibility.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's oh well, you have to see. I mean, his competitors are tougher than they've been in all the previous rounds at this point. So he's got a lot to go up with. Martinsville would be my biggest concern for him. I think he'll be fine at the other two races. But Martinsville is known, the fall race at Martinsville is known for taking out a lot of good cars.
Yeah, fucking over everybody. And then there's just that guy that underperforms, has a slow car. That was Kevin Harvick last year.
You know.
That actually shocked me. I thought Harvick was good at Martinsville, just couldn't get it going.
Yeah. I don't know. Martinsville is also sort of a wild card race in a way. The fall races, depending on how the cautions fall, and where people line up, inside or outside the wing, actually makes a huge difference there.
Yeah. All right, got to move on. Ryan Blaney, number 7. I didn't think he was going to make it. Had eighth at Charlotte, 18th at Talladega, because of Rex, and got a third at Kansas. And remember, he started in 40th.
Hmm.
Really made his way up to the front really quickly as well.
Yeah.
And if I want to at least make a point, he won both stage 1 and stage 2 at the Texas Spring Race this year. So,
Yeah.
but you know what? The thing is this: Ryan Blaney is one of the worst short track racers. So that can't be something good. That cannot be a good statistic to look at when you're going into Martinsville.
Yeah. I think
25th,
he's gonna struggle a lot there. And
25th place
Phoenix.
at Martinsville this spring. So 33rd at Bristol in the spring race, and what was his fault? And he got 10th. He crashed at the 2016 Bristol fall race. I remember that, and he got 10th at Bristol this fall. So maybe getting a little bit better. Although Bristol and Martinsville are not the same thing. But I'm just pointing out Richmond's, and he also got 18th at the fall Richmond race and
Yeah.
36th at the spring Richmond race. So just again, if I'm going to go after his last 5 6 short track races, you know,
Yeah.
it's nothing
Yeah. The
to
odds are
really.
stacked against him here.
uh, He is 8 points. He starts off 8 points behind the cutoff. I don't see how he is able to. And he also got 23rd at this year's spring Phoenix race. So
Yeah.
even then, just to point out, the fact that we have to race at Phoenix.
Yeah. Texas. He's basically got to win Texas because he's
Oh
had
yeah, that's it.
terrible runs at Phoenix and Martinsville.
That's it. Denny Hamlin starts sixth, 3 points behind the cutoff. I think he can. I think it's possible for him to make it. He got a top 10 in. Actually, he was the only driver in the last round to get in the top 10 in all 3 races.
Yeah. Yep. I think his best shot's Martinsville. Obviously, he's won there like 4 times. I think 5 times.
He's won twice at Texas as well.
Yeah.
He swept Texas in 2010.
Right. And
I think
he's all right at Phoenix.
Phoenix
You
is one
know.
of his weaker tracks, though. Come on, if anything.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Gibbs has been a lot better there recently. That's why I'm saying that.
That's a good point.
He's good for a top 10 there, I think. But yeah, um, he could very realistically win Martinsville. Um,
All right. Uh, and then here's the guy who's tied for he's in fifth. I guess he loses the tiebreaker for the cutoff with Johnson at the if that were to happen because he's there right now. He is essentially the cutoff point, just loses the tiebreaker. Kevin Harvick, third at Charlotte, and he won the first and second stage at Charlotte, 20th at Talladega, and eighth at Kansas. I don't know. He has mixed results at Martinsville. He's pretty good at Texas, but he's never won there. And he's the king of Phoenix. Although I think that slowly that's going to go away.
I think he was. I don't think he has it anymore.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I see him actually being pretty strong at Texas because he's been strong at the mile and a half recently. He's been like a top 3 car at Charlotte and Kansas. Even if he may not have finished there, he ran there. Um, yeah, and then I mean he'll be good for top 10 at Phoenix, but he hasn't had the speed. I mean when he used to win, he basically would dominate the entire
The whole
race.
race, yeah.
Yeah, he would be untouchable for three-quarters of the race, with the exception of the spring 2016 race. Um, and he hasn't even been close to that since then. Uh,
I don't think he's gonna make it. I don't. I think he, Blaney, Elliott, and Jimmy Johnson are gonna be the four men out.
yeah, it's hard to say.
Johnson's in fourth. He is the cutoff man, tied with Harvick. Uh, I mean, it's possible that he could win Martinsville or Texas or Phoenix. Like he's won. I mean, he hasn't won at Phoenix since 2009. So I mean, yeah, he still wins consistently at Texas, though. I don't know. I mean, I feel that's I feel like his time of dominating the fall race is over, though, especially with last year.
Yeah, um,
Or even because I mean, like he had won the previous four fall Texas races before he finally lost one last year, and yeah, I don't I can't see him outbeating guys like Kyle Busch, guys like Martin Truex at Texas. I can't see it.
yeah. This season, I don't think I'll have the strength for it. I mean, yeah, I don't. They haven't had the speed a mile and a half that I would anticipate them having for him to win here. But I don't know. It's so tough to call because he always pulls sort of something out of the bag at least one race where he may not show up at the other races, but then suddenly they go to a Martinsville or a Texas, and he's like winning the race.
Uh,
So
I think he
yeah,
has a better shot at winning Martinsville than Texas. That might sound like a
yeah,
crazy thing to say, but
I agree. I think so too.
yeah, he doesn't have it. I mean, at the mile and a half, like you said, Martinsville, I think he could definitely be a threat for the win. I think he will finish in the top three. I just don't see a win.
Yeah, I don't know.
All
Well,
things being equal, I don't know. I see the Gibbs car as being maybe a little too much for him at Martinsville.
yeah,
It's not even just that. Well, not with Martinsville. It's not even just with Denny Hamlin. Kyle Busch is finally starting to be competitive at Martinsville, something he had previously failed to do throughout his career.
yeah, yeah. Um, you also got to consider the possibility of like a non-chase guy winning something like that. I mean, Joey Logano could possibly do it. He's been pretty damn fast at Martinsville for the past like 3 or 4 years. Um, I could see
Maybe
Kenseth maybe doing it. Um,
I
so
could
who
I
knows? Or maybe a Kurt Busch or Clint Boyer. That's
I
less
could
likely.
yeah, I could definitely see Kyle Larson winning at Phoenix.
Yeah, I could see him winning Texas or Phoenix. I doubt Martinsville, but
Yeah. And let's see if there's any other non-chasers that have a shot at Texas. Well, let's see. Yeah, probably Kyle Larson. And well, maybe
maybe like an Eric Jones for sort of a surprise win. But I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, Eric Jones. I was gonna say that. Is it- Let's see. And all right, third place, 9 points above cutoff. Brad Keselowski, who won at Martinsville earlier this year. Um, I think if he's good, I think he'll make it on points, but barely. He usually struggles. He always fails. This round of eight is just his Achilles heel. He just can't. He just
Yeah,
can't seem to make.
He always has problems at Martinsville.
I think this is the year he finally shakes that off. He's able to keep the good runs at Texas like he always does in the fall race. And I think he only needs to have a modest run at Phoenix, and I think that'll be enough.
Yeah, I could envision that.
He's getting better at Phoenix. I don't think we can deny that either.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because like the way the races are now, like I can't. I have no hope of predicting the finishing order. I can predict the running order pretty well, but with the way that cautions work now, and lane choice is pretty crucial at a lot of these places. That it's tough to say where anybody's going to land at a place like Martinsville or Texas or Phoenix. I mean, the Gibbs cars are going to run up front, especially Truex, who was basically the fifth Gibbs car. But
Yeah. I just want to mention one thing about back to Jimmy Johnson. Is it really surprising that he was able to pull this off, despite the fact that he spun out twice? I thought that could have been a threat to him, but I think once there was that big crash on the backstretch with Kenseth, Eric Jones, and Jamie McMurray, the others, I think that
mhm,
was, I think he had it. I think that was the moment we all knew he was going to make it.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. You'd think his luck would run out at some point, but it usually doesn't. Let's see. So who's next?
Second place,
Kyle
25 points
Busch.
above the
That's
cutoff.
right.
I remember what he said. What I said last time. We can always hope that he'll crash maybe all three races. He crashed in the first two. He just had to get a top 10 at Kansas.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was kind of a long shot for him to crash all three races. Um,
Well, no one's surprised that it was always a 50-50 shot that he was going to crash at Dega.
yeah. Yeah, I mean he's good at all these tracks coming up. So I don't know. The thing with Kyle Busch is like if he gets the least bit flustered, that's I think it's over for him because he does not handle pressure very well. Well, I don't know. He's gotten better, but I think like in these circumstances, I don't know, like a bad race at Martinsville could see him doing some stupid things at Texas and Phoenix. Um, but
I think,
he'll certainly have the speed
yeah.
to do it.
The only way he is missing out of this one is if he crashes in like two of these races and then just has a bad run on the other one.
Yeah.
And then, of course, who I think is almost assured, he has to be guaranteed it almost at this point. Martin Truex Jr., 52 points above the cutoff line. I mean, he sucks at Martinsville. I don't think there's any denying that. He is not also he's also not that good at Texas. He's good at the tri ovals, but really only Charlotte. Um,
Yeah, this is probably his weakest round.
you
Um,
know,
so I don't know. He's not really. I don't remember him being that
but
good
he's
at
got to
Phoenix
crash off.
either.
Yeah, but come on, like 52 points.
Yeah, yeah. Although I don't know, Kyle Larson was like 20 something about
But yeah,
the cut line just going into Kansas.
but then again, Truex is winning a lot of the tracks. We never really would have thought he would win at Vegas, Watkins Glen. I guess sweeping Kansas really isn't that surprising.
Yeah,
I will give him credit for Charlotte. I never thought he was going to pull that one off. He was like in 12th place after stage one.
yeah. I don't know. I blame Larson's pit crew for that one, but I think they gave that one away. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Truex is he'll probably make Homestead. It's like the odds are in his favor more so than anyone else.
It'll be hilarious if he ever loses Homestead, because it's like, okay, you're this guy who's just been dominating this entire season.
Yeah.
Yeah, by
Well,
every
that's
by
kind of
every
like what he did
conceivable measure.
in 2015. Like he was a top three car at the mile and a half everywhere they went. And then they went to Homestead and he was just lousy. I don't even remember how he ran last year either. I mean, I don't think he ran that well. So I don't know. It wouldn't really surprise me though to see him just struggle for speed and then somebody who hasn't done shit all year win the race and then be the champion. But I will say, if Jimmy Johnson like wins an eighth championship, then I'll probably quit watching NASCAR.
Same, same.
I don't really. That'll just be a slap in the face at this point. Really, if anybody wins this championship, it's going to be a slap in the face
If
because it's
Truex
just
gets it, he
yeah.
probably deserves it.
But I hate Truex, so
Like I said, the dream is Chase Elliott winning it without actually winning the
yeah,
race.
I think that would be funny. Chase Elliott wins, wins the title without a single career win in NASCAR. That would be pretty funny because I don't know how people are going to justify that
You
because
can't
that's
justify
never
it.
happened like
No.
anywhere, anywhere. Never happened in F1 or IndyCar or NASCAR up to this point or like any racing division. You've never had, a winless driver be a champion. But anything's possible in this format.
Yeah, like I said, Brian France, he is quite literally Hitler.
Yep, the Hitler of NASCAR.
He gassed our hopes and dreams of the sport. That's what he, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And he ethnically cleansed creativity. Ah,
Yeah,
see? I can at least just in case people want to say maybe that's an offensive comparison. I can play with this.
yeah. I don't know. It like the rate. Looking at the ratings today really opened my eyes because I knew they were dropping, but I didn't realize it was that dramatic. I mean, like when you only pull in three and a half. Well, I say only when you pull in 3.5 million viewers a year and you lose almost 500,000 viewers a year. Like that's gonna run out fast. That's not something you can stretch out for another decade. That's like got a 5 year sort of deadline or an ultimatum almost for them to do something different, or they're just going to be obsolete. I mean, nobody's going to watch it anymore. So I don't know. I mean, NASCAR very well could die in the next 10 years, like completely. I mean, I don't, that would be kind of unbelievable, but it wouldn't be necessarily surprising. And then we could pick at Brian France's, home estate and like assassinate him or something.
Wait, homeless Brian France?
I don't know.
He probably deserve it if it ever happened. Just saying.
Yeah, he's run it into the ground. I don't, whatever.
It's like, yep, his grandfather started this nice sport, and then his father modernized it in a way that probably in a way that really very few could have done it. It's always the third generation that fucks shit up.
Yep. And took it and drove it straight in the ground.
Hey, hey, just remember, George W. Bush was like a third generation politician. Like his grandfather was actually like involved like in the civil rights movement. And even like his father was okay as the president. And then you get the third generation, it's like, oh, I fucked it up.
Yep.
Always the
Yeah.
third.
Although they need to get rid of Mike Helton too. They basically need a clean house. And just
Well,
I'd rather it be
I've
run by
never seen
drivers, honestly,
I've
but
never had very many issues with Hilton. What exactly is your issue with Hilton? Just out of curiosity.
well, he's dreamt up some of these things. I think he came up with the caution clock for the truck series.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
He
that's
came
not
up
super good.
with or he was integral in the implementation of stage points and this chase format to some extent. And I don't know. I mean, he's very incompetent as well. It's just they all need to go really. They just need to clean house. And like I said, ideally, like ex drivers would be my favorite candidates for the replacements because they understand
Oh yeah, yeah.
what real racing is, and
Oh
what
yeah,
would qualify.
get Tony Stewart in there. Hell, I wouldn't even
Yeah,
mind. Yeah,
Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon Jr.,
yeah.
Matt Kenseth. I mean, they wouldn't know anything about running a business, but as far as determining sort of the ethics and the structure of the racing and the championship, yeah. But
All right, I think I'm gonna call it here. Then we'll probably talk again after Phoenix, and then after
Yeah,
Homestead.
yeah. And
So
then we'll
far,
kill
this is kind of
ourselves.
yeah. And then we'll bawl about Jimmy Johnson's eighth championship.
Or like anyone, even Kyle Busch getting the second one would be kind of
Oh God.
insufferable. Denny
Yep.
Hamlin is the only person that I'm not going to be miserable about winning it. And even then, I'll still just be kind of bitter.
Yeah. Because he wouldn't deserve it. Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I get Truex deserves it. You know, he's the only person. He's the only person that does. Um,
But
but still,
he's kind of a
it's
douche.
just
Yeah.
it just sucks to watch it play out the way it always does. Where like people who run far better than their competitors all season get eliminated due to something stupid that's out of their control. Happened to Gordon in 2014. Happened to Truex last year.
Oh yeah. Still haven't forgiven Brad
Um,
Keselowski for that shit.
yeah, I mean, happened to Larson this year. It's like it's gonna happen
Yeah.
every fucking year. It's only gonna get worse probably. To where we look at like Ricky Stenhouse as like the 2019 champion or something with like 2 career wins. Well, yeah, that's all I'll say.
All right. Gonna end the broadcast here.